Hello. I wanted to have a little discussion with you about presentations and a couple of the most powerful things that you can do in a presentation. Number one, eye contact. Number two, the ability to put space between your words to make an impact. So, in other words, the dramatic pause. Let's talk about eye contact first. So many people, when they're doing a speech, when they're doing a presentation, when they're doing when they're speaking in front of a group, they find themselves having trouble looking people in the eyes. And whether you're talking to somebody one-on-one, whether you're talking to a large group, whether you're talking to a small group, any human being will trust you more if you will simply look them in the eyes. If you're darting around, if your eyes are darting around and you're looking really nervous, guess what? Not going to do you very good whenever it comes to their trust. Now, one of the things that will help you is there's a couple of techniques when it comes to eye contact. By the way, before I get into this, I want to go ahead and mention a couple of the masters. When you talk about presentations, presenting things, two of the names that almost always come up are Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan. Now, these are two people who follow completely different views. They couldn't be further from each other in some of their ideals, their politics, obviously. They're from different ends of the spectrum there. But one of the things that they have in common is whenever people talk about masters at presenting and speaking, Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan almost always come up. And these two things that I'm mentioning to you today are two things that those two gentlemen have, I will say had, because Ronald Reagan unfortunately is no longer with us, but they both mastered these techniques. If you watch Bill Clinton walk up to somebody one-on-one, shake their hand, you better believe he will be looking them in the eyes whenever he says something to them. And then whenever you watch him speak, you have no doubt that he is looking into the crowd's eyes. And if he's talking to the camera, he's looking into the camera and talking exactly to you. Same thing with Ronald Reagan. Very, very deep as far as his eye contact, as far as making you feel that you can trust him because of that eye contact. So here's a couple techniques that will help you out. Whenever you are talking to an audience, let's just say that it's 35, 50 people, maybe 70 something, less than 100. It would feel like usually if you're talking to a group of that size, you may know some of them, you may not, but sometimes we get nervous because we're afraid that they may not realize, or they may not think that we know what we're talking about. That's a lot of times, that's some of our biggest fears. Well, building that trust, having to do with eye contact, is pretty easy to achieve without, at first at least, actually looking into the person's eyes. Now, you should make eye contact, okay? I want you to do that. But when you're beginning, you need to use a little trick maybe to get yourself into that motion. Now, I don't want you to be too obvious about this, but what I've noticed a lot of times, and I'm actually doing it as I'm talking to you, I'm actually doing it in my head, when you begin to need to look into people's eyes, at first, instead of actually looking into their eyes, which might, if you're a little bit shy or whatever, might make you a little bit nervous at first. What you might want to consider doing is looking at the tops of their heads. Now, if you're actually looking out at an audience and you're looking at the tops of their heads and you're moving your eyes through the crowd, they're going to feel like you're looking at them. Okay? Now, once you get over that initial fear, I no longer have that fear. I actually look people directly in the eyes, and I actually meet them with emotion and what I want to say here, and passion as far as whatever I'm talking about. I want to talk to you. I want to get in your face. I want to make sure that you and I are connecting whenever I do a presentation. Well, after a while, you'll actually build a comfort level with that. The more you speak, the more comfortable you'll get with it. But at first, you just need a couple little tricks just to get you in the motion. And the more you begin to trust that the reason you are speaking is because they want to hear what you have to say, then the better you will be at freeing yourself up to look them in the eyes and enjoy it. And I will tell you that some of the best presentations, some of the presentations where I got the most positive feedback have always been the ones where I had eye contact with my audience, where we were deeply communicating with each other, where I was touching their soul and they were touching mine. They were smiling with me. Sometimes we had tears in our eyes together. Sometimes we got passionate together. It was awesome. So those are some of the most powerful presentations I've delivered, is the ones where our eyes could meet and actually mean it. So remember that is definitely a powerful piece. Now let me get to the second point that I wanted to bring about here, and that is the pause. Really, it's the ability to present something and not feel like every breath, everything you say, or everything you don't say has to be filled with something. Okay, and I just say something because sometimes the something that we fill it with is nonsense. Now, I'm not talking about the occasional or ah. I do it myself. I use filler words just like anybody else. Now, over time, I've tried to improve upon that. But I'm not talking about the ums and the ahs specifically. What I'm talking about is some people's discomfort with silence. You have to be comfortable with silence. Okay? You have to be comfortable with pacing your words. You don't have to be talking constantly. It's not about that. It's about communicating your message. Whatever that message may be, it's about communicating your message. And so sometimes we just need to slow down and say what we mean with passion. And if you have something that you, for example, if you were going to try to tell a joke and you didn't know how to pause or be comfortable with pausing, then most of the time your joke won't go over very well because your audience didn't have time to process it before you threw something else in, and so it wouldn't work. So comedians know the art of the pause. Great presenters, masters in our game here, they are masters at pausing. Okay, and you need to master the art of silence. You need to be okay with this. That right there was silence. Mastering that during a presentation and being able to pause without getting uncomfortable is a good thing. These two tools that I was talking about today, and we will get into this further in future blogs, articles, and posts, but these two items that I talked to you about today, both eye contact and silence or pausing, are two of the most powerful tools that you will ever use in speaking, in presentations, in sales, and negotiation. As a matter of fact, silence in negotiation and sales is the most powerful tool you will ever use. Okay? And to build upon that and to build rapport, eye contact will help you out as well. All right? So just baby steps, though, guys. Use baby steps. Don't worry about being perfect right off the bat, but try making eye contact. Oh, you want to know something? Before I end this one, it made me think, and I can't remember where I heard this. Oh, I want to make sure I give credit. I believe it was Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Workweek. I believe, and I will add a correction to this if I have to, but I believe that's who I heard this technique from, or read it, or listened to it for the first time. One of the things that Tim Ferriss would do to build his confidence and work on what I'm actually referring to as eye contact and to try to build people's trust, is he used to test himself, and he used to go out into public places and look people in the eyes until one of them broke. And that's an interesting thing, because if you can get used to doing that, now I don't want you to go out and get shot, get in a fight or something because you're looking somebody in the eyes. Just say hello. Just look people in the eyes and say hello, Merry Christmas, have a holiday, or hey, nice day, isn't it? Just look them in the eyes. That practice will help you get ready for your next presentation. So I don't know if maybe you needed that, but that came to me. That little practice that he used to do just came to my mind as I was getting ready to begin closing this session out. So on that note, thank you, love you, have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next post.